Hi, I'm Eric Kimball, author of the Planet Whiz-Bang Idea Book for Gardeners, and today I have a riddle for you. Actually, I have two riddles, and here they are. Riddle is an old word for a handheld sifter. These are homemade garden riddles. They're useful for sifting small amounts of compost or soil. You can place riddles like these over a bucket and use your hands to spread the compost around and sift it down, or you can just shake the riddle. I made this riddle 8 years ago, and it's gotten a lot of use. I made this riddle yesterday, and in this video I'm going to show you how I made this riddle. What makes these riddles here unique is that they have support wires on the underside. The support wires help to prevent the sifting screen from sagging over time. The other thing that makes these riddles unique is that they're handcrafted. They aren't spit out of a big machine in a factory. And being handcrafted, these riddles have a rustic, functional charm that becomes more endearing with use and the passage of years. These riddles are made to be used for a lifetime, then passed on to someone who will appreciate their functional usefulness. As you're about to see, making a riddle like this is a simple woodworking project. You don't need a wood shop with a lot of expensive tools. The how-to that you're about to see starts with a discussion of the materials that you're going to need to build this. So it starts out a little bit slow, but once the materials are covered, it picks up and moves right along. Let's get started. To begin with, you're going to want a piece of galvanized hardware cloth, 1/4 inch mesh. That's what I have here. And when it comes to hardware cloth, galvanized hardware cloth, there's two different kinds. One is electro-galvanized and the other is hot-dipped galvanized. You want the hot-dipped galvanized hardware cloth. It is going to last longer and it's stronger. And that's what I have here. Now, I went to Amazon looking for an affiliate link for hot-dipped galvanized hardware cloth, and they do have it, but it's questionable if they really do have it because the pictures did not look like hot dipped to me. And hot dipped, you can tell because it's a duller gray as opposed to a shiny bright. And at every intersection of the wire, you can actually see a little buildup of the molten zinc that they dip this into. So you want to be careful about your hardware cloth and get this hot dipped. Makes a big difference if you're going to make a riddle that you want to last. Now, in my research online, Tractor Supply has 2-foot by 5-foot pieces that they say is hot dipped, and I think they might be right, unlike the Amazon listings. But you can go and you can check it out, and $12.99 is reasonably priced. Now, I'll put a link down below to this page at Tractor Supply for you. This piece right here that I have is the only piece I could find. I actually think I have a roll of this somewhere, but I couldn't find it. Once I get this video done, I'll find it. That's how that works, right? This piece is 14 3/4 of an inch wide, so that's going to determine the size of the riddle for this demonstration. I'm going to make the riddle 14.5 inches by 14.5 inches outside dimensions with this piece of hot dipped galvanized hardware cloth. I recommend that you make your riddle out of pine, because pine is inexpensive. There's nothing wrong with pine. This is 1x4 pine, a common size. It's actually 3.5 inches wide, and that's a good size because you can grip 3.5 inches pretty well. And these edges will be rounded, of course, so it'll be even more comfortable. Now, the size of my riddle, as determined by the size of my hardware cloth, hot-dipped hardware cloth, I said was going to be 14.5 inches. These have been rough cut to 16 inches, and I'm going to cut them very precisely. I'm going to show you how to do that real easily. Get 4 exactly the same length pieces, and the length of your pieces is going to be 3/4 of an inch less than the outside dimensions of your riddle. So I'm making a riddle that's 14.5 inches, subtract 3/4 from that, and that's 13 3/4 inch. There are 3 different fasteners, screws, that you're going to want to use to make your riddle. The first is you need 2 screws to attach the corners. This is a 2-inch long, I wouldn't go less than that, by number 12, and this happens to be a oval head Phillips screw. If you didn't use this type of screw, and you probably won't, you can use a number 12 a sheet metal screw that is 2 inches or more long. So there you go. The number 12 size of a sheet metal screw and has threads just like this. They're aggressive. They're going to hold really well for you. The other screw that you need will be a screw to hold your support wires on the sides. And for that, I recommend that you get a 3/4 inch long, because we have 3/4 inch wood and you don't want to go through, by number 12 sheet metal screw. That's what this is. These sheet metal screws, they've got the threads that you want. They're not wimpy. They're perfect for this. The other screw that you're going to need is a screw to hold your strips on the bottom. We're going to rip off a strip here, 3/8 of an inch wide, and we're going to re-screw the strips after the hardware cloth is attached to the bottom. This screw right here is, I would say, kind of long. You don't need a screw that long, but I happen to have a bunch of these, and they're stainless steel. So I'm going to use them. The last part you're going to need to make your riddle is some good stiff wire for the supporting wires underneath. This is a 12 gauge galvanized utility wire. You wouldn't want anything thicker than 12 gauge. This is thick enough to be a good support wire, but it's still workable to get it looped around the screws and bent under the bottom. Okay, there you go. Let's make this thing. Now I'm going to show you a trick. The easiest way to cut 4 pieces of wood exactly the same length is to clamp them together. We're going to cut them in the chop saw, of course, but clamp them together like I'm doing right here. You needn't use a 2-foot long clamp, but that's all I could find at the moment. And we'll put them into the chop saw like that. I'm going to trim all 4 at once, like so. All right, just trimmed a little bit off. Now, I'm not going to take that clamp off until I get a clamp on the side where I've just cut. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Get it right on the end here. Now, once that's on, I will, yeah, it's easier without 2-foot long clamps. I will remove that. The outside dimension we determined was 14.5, so 3/4 less is 13 3/4. I'm going to make a mark. What I'm going to do now is rip the strips off the bottom that will be then put back on over the hardware cloth. So now I have my 4 precisely cut side pieces, and I have the 4 bottom pieces, and I'm going to show you how these pieces get arranged. All right, this butts into that, that butts into this butts into this, and that in turn butts in there. Lots of button going on here. Oh wait, it goes like that. Yeah. All right. Yeah, the point is, you will see in a moment. Well, let's measure this. Yep, 14.5, 14.5. So what I need to do now is I'm going to drill holes on one end of each of these pieces for the screws. And those, I want those holes to go halfway. That's 3/8 of an inch. I'll mark that on every single one of these. And then I'm going to determine where I want my screws to go here. And I'll just do that by eye. I think that's a good distance. Right there. Right there. I'll mark every one of these
in like manner for pre-drilling and countersinking the screw heads, which will be the next step. Okay. Okay.
There we go. They're all marked out. If you have an awl, you can get a little starter mark with your awl
where you're going to be drilling. If you don't have an awl, don't worry about it. Just drill. You can usually do pretty well without it.
This is a 5/32 inch drill bit. Next, we'll get a little countersink action on these. Just by eye.
Gauge your depth.
Okay, we're ready to screw it together. All right, I decided it would be better to drill these, repilot these a little bit bigger. This is 3/16. And yeah, that's something I think you should do if you're going to use the number 12s. 3/16. Now here you can see I've got a clamp on this. These number 12 screws have a number 3 Phillips tip. That's the big one.
And yeah, so we'll just get them started. And notice I'm pumping the drill. That gives you better control.
Snug those right up. If we want to be precise, we can measure the diagonals here and make sure they're the same. 20 and 7/16, 20 and 9/16. It's a tad long this way. Wonder if we can just give it a little push. Yeah, we're trying to get it square. 20 and a half, 20 and just under a half. Well, now I could put the clamp on to try to get exact.
This is a round clamp, but okay, 20 and a half. Put that in there. Yeah, we're right on now.
Yeah, so I'll leave that like that. Maybe the clamp will stay. So now what we'll do is put on our hot dipped hardware cloth. I am going to put this on here like you see here, and I'm going to staple it on just to hold it in place, maybe to hold it square. We may have just slipped there, but we were close enough. Grab your closest hammer, hammer those bad boys down.
I never drive all the way, do they? And our clamp doesn't become useless. That's fun. That's fun, right? Yes, it is.
Now, get our little snippers. And we will, this edge is good. I'm going to snip over here. I think I need to fast forward through here.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of a pain. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty, so we are going to think about our support wires underneath. The important thing is to find the end of your roll of wire, and there we have it. And I'm going to cut these a little oversized. Get yourself some good cutters and cut more than you need. Straighten them out as best you can. A little better than they were as they came off the roll. Okay, so how do we divide 14.5 into thirds? I'm not going to worry about being exact. I'm going to worry about being consistent. So I'm going to go 4 7/8. All right, 4 7/8 in from the end. 4 7/8 in from the end.
Yeah, all the sides marked. I marked that one. There we go. I know there's another side here. There we go.
I can then square these. I don't have to make a line all the way, but we'll get in the vicinity of where I want that screw to be.
Okay, well, that's Mark's proud about where it goes. Oh, this where it goes. Just running my mouth here.
Okay, so where is a good spot to place our screw? And by I am thinking, I like the looks of that right there. So we'll mark all of those. Maybe I'll come off of the other side.
Okay.
Good. Now, what I want to do is get my drill, and I'm going to drill a little. I've got a little 1/16 of an inch bit here. I'm going to drill where those screws go. And yes, I am drilling all the way through. The screw shouldn't go all the way through, but I don't think it's a big deal if the hole goes all the way through.
Okay. Okay. Last one right here.
Then I'll take that number 3 Phillips drive bit. I'll get my number 12 by 3/4 screws, and I'll get them all started here.
Get them all started. Put them about halfway down, maybe even more. But not all the way. That's the point. Okay. Right.
We're not making fine furniture here. We're just making a very nice garden riddle. Yeah. All right, we're ready to put those wires on. You want to bend a loop in the end of each of these support wires, one end, just one end, like you see right there. And I just filmed that, but my sound was off, so I'm going to show you how I did that. These are dikes, electrician's pliers. Put the wire in so that it's the width of the jaws, and then you just give it a bend like that right there. See that? Straighten out a little, play with it a little there. See? That's a nice little bend, isn't it? I'll do one more because it's fun to bend wire. Got the wire in the jaws, give it a bend. Okay, kind of play with it, straighten it out a little bit. Nice. All right, I repositioned my camera so you can see a little better, hopefully. Hook your wire on. Then I'm going to pinch that loop. Right like that. See that? Yeah, I like that. Pinch the loop. Then drive that screw right in. And it did not come out the other side. Okay, we'll do the other one.
Put the loop over the screw. Get a little skewies here. Like that, like that. Okay, screw it in.
Okay, then we're going to bend these right down like that. All right, now you want to straighten your wires out as best as you can, better than you did before. And we'll take our conveniently located hammer over here, give that a wrap. Kind of set her down a little bit there. And then you want to have some pressure pulling on this, and then fold it over. Like so. And get it looped. Get it looped. Yeah, like that. Oh yeah. Let's try that again.
Get it looped over. Yeah.
All right. I just put the other 2 wires on here. I thought I was filming, but I wasn't, which is kind of discouraging, but you saw the 2 go on, the other 2 went on the same way. The only difference is that when I put these on, I wove them kind of. I went under here, I went over here, did the opposite here, I went over here, I went under here. So that may give this whole thing a little bit more integrity. Okay, when it comes to putting these strips on, and I have put one on already, and I'm a little concerned this video is probably going too long, so I'm just going to tell you the important parts of what you need to know here. First of all, do you see that this strip, bottom strip, is overlapping here? I'm not lining it up with the piece that it was cut out from. I'm offsetting it a little, and that's something you want to do. The other thing you want to do is you're going to need to notch for the wires. So lay the strip in place and smack it a couple times with a hammer here to get yourself a mark, and then take a utility knife, that's what I've used, and just carve that out. Don't hurt yourself, don't cut yourself, just carve it out so that you get a nice fit. So it goes over that. Then you want to place your screws, and I have 4 screws. They are intelligently placed. By that I mean that, remember this screw here, 2 inches long that went in here? I want to get a screw for this bottom piece that's not going to go into that screw. Okay, so that's going to be placed right there. And then I'm going to put the other 2 right near the wire. Okay, that'll hold it really well. And I'm not being consistent or uniform. I'm putting them where I think they best secure that. And here I'm coming in like 1.25 inches from the end. Then I'm taking a 1/16 inch drill bit. I'm holding the strip where it goes, and I'm drilling down. You can drill down right into the wood, right into the wood side. I mean, if you hit a piece of the metal, the hardware cloth, you can angle just a little, angle one way or the other just to get off to the side. Then what I'm doing is I'm putting a wider bit. This is 3/16, and I'm going just through the strip. Okay. Then I'm getting my countersink bit, and I'm countersinking. Okay. And then I'm getting the screw that I'm going to drive in there, and I'm driving it in. All right. I'm going to do that all the way around this. I'm going to take my time and get that screwed in good and solid and notched around those wires. Okay, I've got all the bottom strips on here. You can see what that looks like. There's a little bit of a discrepancy here. So you can take your block plane and fix that pretty easily. Yikes, should have come the other way with that. Yeah. Okay, then to round the edges, you could do it with your block plane if you wanted to, but I like to use a router. I believe this is a 3/8 inch round over bit. You really can't run the router on the bottom, but you can take your plane and get yourself a nice little eased edge there. Yeah, looking good. You can also take that plane and ease that corner a little bit.
Oops.
Remember I said we're not making fine furniture here. We're making a fine riddle for the ears. Yeah. I like it. Right here, when the router comes around the corner, it doesn't really make a sharp finished look, so you can take your utility knife and carve that a little bit. You can kind of trim and fine-tune that in there. Well, that doesn't look quite as good as I was hoping it would. It'll be fine though. All right, I have been sanding on this for about 10 minutes with this little piece of sandpaper here, and that has really smoothed it up. Feels really good, and it'll take a finish now a little bit better, I think. I don't need to finish this, of course. It can just be put right to work, but I think it's going to look even better, rustic as it is, with some stain and a preservative. I like shellac, amber shellac. Did you know that shellac comes from a bug? It's true, look it up on Google. I'm putting this shellac on here more for the color than to protect the wood, but there is some protective value here. And once this dries, and it dries very quickly, I'm going to take care of the preservative coating with something kind of special. All right, the something special that I'm going to put on this for a preservative is in this little tin right here. If you've watched my videos, you may have seen this. This is hoe handle rub. It's a beeswax, turpentine, and well, what was the other ingredient?
And it doesn't just work on hoe handles, it'll work on your riddle.
I'm going to smear this on here. I like to put it on with my hands. You can use a rag if you like.
And I'm not doing a particularly neat job of this because I'm going to go over it with my heat gun. I'm going to heat this up and let it run into
I'm going to get a good amount of this on here.
As I say in my YouTube video, which by the way I'll put a link down below too, for making this. If they made a car air freshener.
I love the smell of turpentine. Mix it with, what was that other ingredient? Turpentine, beeswax. Turpentine, beeswax. It'll come to me.
Boring.
Hoe handle rub. Beeswax, turpentine. Oh, that just came to me. Beeswax, turpentine, and boiled linseed oil. Boiled, gotta be boiled. That is the natural combination. 1/3 of each. You don't have to watch the video. I just told it to you. 1/3 of each by weight. You should watch the video, I think. Give it a thumbs up if you would, please. I need more thumbs ups. I got a new heat gun recently because I couldn't find my old heat gun. And then I got the new heat gun and I found the old one. Crank it up, good and hot. Doesn't take much, yeah, it's melting. Love to see that stuff melt down into the gaps. You can smooth it out.
As it melts. Yeah. It leaves a coating on there. And it's going to be a fairly thick coating.
When it dries, it gives you a wonderful grip surface. It's it's a wax. It's a grippy wax. I think that should go like this, so it'll run down in there into the wire.
Yep, that's where we do it, right there.
All right, I think that's good enough. It's so much fun. I hate to stop, but I will. See, the wax has filled that gap. Nice. The wax is still a little soft. It will harden up. You have witnessed the birth of an heirloom garden riddle right there. Thank you very much for watching.